Obviously, we had our skin work done on the first episode of our 30 days makeup challenge. If you've not already watched this video, please go to the video before this one and watch. Hi guys, you're welcome back to our 30 days makeup series, and on today's episode we'll be doing eyeshadow work and then brow work as well. So we're starting off with using our Nuban Beauty matte brown lipstick as a eyeshadow base. I use this as my eyeshadow base because I'm going for a pigmented look. I want to use pigments and I want the look to have a lot of depth in the eyes. Like, I want the look to be very defined. So after using the Nuban Beauty, I went in with a bronzer from Bronzy Palette in order to add more depth, in order to make the eyes look darker. That way, when I apply my pigments, it gets to have a really bold pop. Blended this all over the brown lipstick and ensure that everything is completely blended and it's fine. I went in with lighter shades of brown in order to blend the crease and ensure that there's a beautiful transition there before I went in with a darker shade that is obviously black from Juvia's Place shadow palette. I added it to the outer corner of the eye, started from the outer corner and then blending into the inner corner in order to add depth into the eye and intensify the eye look. Please take note of the fact that when I'm applying the black, I'm transitioning it from this outer part and then blending it into the inner corners of the eye in order to give the eye a properly transitioned effect. So that's the essence of what I'm doing. So also make sure that when you're doing this, you're using a small fluffy brush so that you do not blend over lines, you do not out blend the entire eye and now make it look messy. It won't be fine. Your eye should have a particular, let me say, the base should have a particular order in which you want to create, in which you want the eye look rather to look. So you blend in that regard, just like we did for the skin work when I was saying know where your lines meet. So you literally just blend out that part where they get to meet. So after applying the base and ensuring that it is in order just the way I want it, you can see the transitions. Then you go in with a pigment glue and then you make sure that you blend out your pigment glue very well. If not, your eyeshadow will be packed, or your pigment will be packed in just one point and it will not look properly blended. Ensure that it dries down a little bit, not completely dry down, before you go in with your pigment. And while you're placing it, please do not pack pigments. Pigments are extremely pigmented, so you just pick a little bit in your brush. You can use your the tip of your finger as well for this particular procedure, and you tap in lightly. Ensure that you're applying it in a blending motion so that your eyeshadow do not look packed in one particular place and it doesn't look messy at the end of it. You can see this eyeshadow, I've literally not even tried to like blend separately. I'm like applying and blending at the same time and it's already looking blended without me doing so much. So that's the essence of what I'm saying. So after applying this first shade, I went in to apply another shade because I wanted an ombre effect for this particular eye look, and that's the context of why I did all what I'm doing. So I went to reapply a little bit of pigment glue and then I dropped another color. You can see the color pop that is transitioning from like a orange like yellow, a sun yellow, to pink and then black, and then the transitions are giving brown and orange as well. So I kept lightly tapping in the eyes and ensuring that I am blending in the colors that I have applied before I went in with a small blending brush to blend out all the edges and ensure that every point of the eye is a beautiful sync. As at this point we had achieved the particular eye look that I wanted, but then the inner corners of the eye do not have enough depth as I wanted it, because this particular eye was given that kind of aloe, because I did start the pigments from the outer part of the eye. I started it from the midpoint of the eye. So I was trying to ensure that there's depth in the beginning part of the eye. I was trying to blend everywhere and ensure that all the colors were marrying in beautifully together, and it was giving the particular kind of eye look that I wanted. So that was why I went back and forth blending to ensure that this particular eye look comes out perfectly in the color sync that I wanted. So that's what I am doing in this part of the video. And afterwards I went in to apply eyeliner on the lower and upper part of the eye this is one process that a lot of people get it wrong with. A lot of people complain that doing this is usually hard because people tend to close and open their eyes, and that's true, but there's a easy trick you can apply in order to make it a bit easier. So wherever it is that you place your brush, ask the model to look directly opposite in that corner. So if I'm applying the eyeliner in the inner part of the eye, I ask her to look outer. I ask the model to look like the direct opposite part of whatever it is I'm doing. You can see her eyeballs move. So that's what I'm trying to do in order to make sure that she doesn't like close her eyes. And then me too, I use my hand to like guard what I'm doing, so that if should in case she blinks or anything, it won't totally ruin what I've done. So I do the same trick for the outer part of the eye as well. And then on this particular eye look, I wanted a smudge effect for the under eye, so I made the under part really really bold, and I made the upper part also bold because the eye look is a really bold one, and all these are the factors that would make the eye look stand out even more and even make it look really really statement. So if you're going for a statement eye look, eyeliner pronounces the eye more than every other thing as well. So you can do a really really soft eye, and if you do a bold eyeliner look, it will look really really bold. It will just pronounce the entire eye look and make it look bold. So I was using everything I could on this particular look to make sure that these eyes come out really bold. I went in with the colors, the contrast, and then I also went in with the liners. So that's what I'm essentially doing on this clip, ensuring that this eyeliner is bold. So I went back and forth, layering it up in order to make sure that it was bold, so that when I do every other thing, it will come out looking really really bold. So that is it for the eyeliner distinct video. And then very important, very very important, when you're applying eyeliner, I beg you in the name of God, use a very very thin brush to apply eyeliner, or use a flat tipped brush, but it should be a very small brush in order for you to be able to work your way around it easily. Do not use a big tipped brush for this process. It will mess you up, and you'll be wondering what you did wrong. And also ensure that the liquid liner you're using or the gel liner you're using is really really good. Please, very important fact, there are some gel liners you apply and they will not be looking as dark as this. So you use very good gel liners that will give you this kind of result. How you know that your gel liner application is seamless and perfect? It is when you've applied both sides and the lines that you've made, they look straight, they look even, and it's even in both eyes. So whatever it is you have to do in order to make sure that it's looking even and not too far too. Not too far. Don't say because Joyful said that I should be, if you want a bold eye look, go for a bold liner. Don't go and make it so fat. So the product I showed you is an example of a very good black eyeliner gel that you can use. That's exactly what I used for my video here. And then I told you initially that I wanted a smudged eye look, so I was going to smudge the eyeliner as I had initially said. So I used a orange eyeshadow to transition this black eyeliner in order to give it that smudge effect. So this is also one thing that takes time. You don't have to rush. You can go on and on and on until you get the particular consistency that you want. Whatever it is you've done for one eye, always do for the other eye to ensure that there's a uniformity. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. You can see that eye pop. So when you want to smudge your eyeliner, the best brush for this process is usually a flat tipped brush. That kind of brush you want to use to, let's say, outline your brow when you want to conceal. That's the kind of brush you use, and you apply it in this motion, like you rub the eyeshadow in this motion. The way I'm doing it, that's exactly how you smudge your eyeliner, be it the top part of your lid or the under eye. So afterwards, I went in with a mascara to lightly brush the eyelashes, and then I went in with a lash glue on the lash lid, and then I picked a pair of lash that would flatter the eye look of my clients and ensure that it gives the eyeshadow work,
the pop that I envisaged to give this eye look. So after fixing for the other eye, or the both eyes rather, some parts of the lash was obviously lifting. So I went in with a lash glue on those tips, those parts, and then just fixed and make sure that everywhere was good. So what I'm essentially doing right now is the starting point of my brow work. What I do, I use setting powder to dry out the brows first before I go in with my pencil, and I brush the brows upwards, and I make sure that I use a very, very sharpened pencil so that I can draw a light strokes on the brows, and I can draw lightly. So that's essentially what I'm doing. So I started off with drawing the inner, like the lower line of the brow. Like I mapped out the lower line of the brow, and I did that carefully. Is you don't draw it one time, you trace it like small, you don't have to rush. This is not a process you rush. And then after drawing the lower parts of the brow, you do the same thing on the top part, ensuring that where you have your lower arc, that's the same point that you have your upper arc. And then you go in to fill the brows with hair-like strokes and ensure that the brows look natural and they look really, really beautiful, in order to give our face that particular frame that we need. You know that the brows is essentially what gives the face a certain frame that makes the face look really, really beautiful. So that's what we're doing here. We're stroking the brows and ensuring that we're using a flat tipped pencil so that the strokes can be defined and they can look like natural brows and they don't look so false, because the context of doing your makeup is essentially mimicking what your facial structure looks like and making it a better version. That is where enhancing comes in, like enhancing your facial features. That's like the context of what we're trying to do. So the shape of the brows also have to work in line with your facial structure. Everything has to marry in and look like what your face would look like even without makeup, but then in a more enhanced version. So whatever it is I did for the other eye, I came to this other eye as well to do the same. So I'm obviously starting off with mapping out the lower line, and I told you wherever it is you put your arc on the lower part, that's the same thing you do on the outer parts or the upper parts, not outer, upper, lower and upper. So I'm on the lower one, and afterwards I went into the upper one and the upper part of the brow, and I'm doing the same thing. So in all of this that I'm doing, ensure that your pencil is really, really sharpened, and make sure that you do not press the pencil on the client's skin. If you press the pencil, you would get, like, it will drop a lot of product at the same time on the brow, and it will make the brow look so dark and it won't be fine. So lightly moving the pencil around our brow will do the work better, and it will give you that freedom of movement it will give you that freedom of movement in order to stroke our brows and also trace out those lines that you want. So that's essentially what I'm doing here. I'm trying to mimic the same pattern that I did for this other eye to do for this other eye as well.
When you're drawing your brows and then you observe that one is a bit higher or a bit lower than the other one, like for instance what we're doing right now, we can observe that this other one is a bit higher, the other one that I initially drawn is a bit higher and is a bit thicker. If you're trying to thicken this your other brow, please do not just go and draw a line underneath it because you feel maybe it's the other one is lower, so you want to get this other one to look lower like the other one. You don't do that. You just go in to shade it in lightly, shade the areas where you want to fatten, or shade the areas where you want to like extend lightly, like small, and you see the difference it will make. You don't just go to make a significant bold difference in the brows, it will mess you up. So after drawing your brows, you want to go in to highlight your brows and make your brows make your brows stand out. Like you want to highlight the brows and make it pop better. So for this, you use a light concealer, the kind of concealer that you use to highlight, but not essentially as bright as that one. You can choose to use a concealer that is just one tone brighter than our actual shade, instead of the one we used in concealing that's like 2 to 3 shades. So if you want it to look more natural, the brow is already very fine, you can leave it as it is without concealing. But if you want your eyebrows to be properly highlighted, you can go in with a concealer that is 1 to 2 shades lighter for this middle of our eyebrows to the outer parts. But for the inner part, I always advise you leave it like that, or you use a concealer that is in line with a contour shade for that beginning part. That is if you must apply And then I usually don't recommend applying concealer on the top part of the brow unless it is very, very necessary, like you made a mistake. Then you use a foundation you used for our entire face to correct the top parts. That is if you made a mistake. But if you do not make a mistake like what I did here, highlighting the lower part of our eyes is very much enough. Next, you go in with a concealer. I say after highlighting it, you go in with a blending brush, blend out, and then you go in with a powder in order to blend. I went in with a bronzing powder to still blend because I wanted it to have some certain hues that bronzer had. So that's why I'm using a bronzer, and I'm ensuring that the brow is properly highlighted. So we have come to the end of our eye look, and on the next episode we'll be doing the finishing touches on the skin and then the lips. So if you've watched up to those points, thank you very much, and thank you very much for subscribing to our channel. Please click the post notification bell after subscription so that you'll be notified when we drop our next video. Thank you for staying with us. Bye guys, we'll see you on our next one.